Who the heck are these people, and how have they made a bike on paper as fast as some of the top racing bikes so cheap? The Falath EXP is the newest aero bike from the Chinese company Elves. And there's a lot to unpack here. Welcome to First Look, the series where we check out new and interesting bits of tech and give you the rundown on the stuff that actually matters. Let's get into it. Before we start, this video is not sponsored, we're not being paid, and this bike is going back to Elves after filming. And it's a Falath EXP frame set in 52 centimeters, with 32mm tyre clearance and a T47 bottom bracket. It has a hole in the back, an Elves one-piece handlebar, this is the 38cm version, proprietary seat post, Elves Falath carbon wheels, these are made by Elves as well, Continental GP5000s and Shimano Ultegra Di2. It also has a 3D printed Elves saddle, otherwise naked, no bottle cages, no pedals, and it weighs 7.83 kilograms. Not the lightest bike in the world, but I wasn't expecting it to be based on the sizes of the tubes.
It's so hot! It's so hot!
So who are Elves? First up, someone at the company is a fan of Lord of the Rings because Falath are all nods to the Elvish language from Lord of the Rings. They started by providing OEM services to other brands back in 2006. It wasn't until 2017 when they started making their own bikes under their own brand. I haven't been able to find much information about which brands they made bikes for, but a few years ago we did have one of their frame sets, and when we were tinkering with it, we found a Cervelo branded cable guide under the BB shell.
Oh look, it's a Cervelo thing, you know? What is it? What are those things called? It's like the
That actually is.
I can't remember what they're called.
Cable routing.
Yeah,
it's just like a little cable route.
Cervelo one.
It's a Cervelo, yeah.
Probably means this company also makes Cervelo bikes.
I'm not saying this is proof of anything, but this is what we found. Here in the West, we've always been able to buy frames from the East for a long time on websites like AliExpress, but there's always been the issue of aftercare to think of. Are they going to replace something if it's wrong? Are they going to provide warranty? Are the bike shops going to be happy working on it? Companies like Elves are trying to resolve some of these customer concerns by starting their own distributors in different locations. Elves UK and Europe are the people that you'll be dealing with if you're in the UK or Europe. Obviously this comes at a cost, so the prices of the products then increase, but not as much as the current Western brands we have on the market now. What do you make of all this? So there's a big hole in the back of the bike. Giles, what do you think of my speed hole?
Very big, very nice.
Elves claim that this is to make the bike more aerodynamic and more comfortable. Something to offset the big fat aero tube stiffness that you get when you ride an aero bike. I guess the idea is it flexes a bit. Does it work? I can't really tell because, well, just like all of the other bikes that we've covered recently, it's got massive tyre clearance, and these are like 30s that I'm running at 50 psi. So, yeah, it feels smooth. But probably not just because of the speed hole. Price. Now, Elves have different setups in different locations around the world. We're going to be looking at UK and Europe for the sake of this video. In the grand scheme of things, this is an expensive bicycle. Let's face it, £1,000 is a lot for a bicycle. But in the category it's in, on paper, it's extremely good value. The frame set on their website right now is 888 quid. And there's numerous different bundle options as well, including a deal where you add the wheels and the handlebars to your basket, and the handlebars then become free. 1,496 quid for wheels, frame set, and the bars. Not too shabby. Right, let's talk aero gains. They sell this as a UCI-compliant road racing aero bike with improved aerodynamics. Improved from the last model, the Falath Evo. But how does it stack up against other high-end aero bikes? Well, there was no way of telling until recently, because rejoice, there is some data. Cycling News have done a fantastic job testing all of the high-end, well, some of the high-end racing bikes on the market. They specifically went to a wind tunnel to test aero bikes, dedicated aero bikes. I will not be revealing most of the results because it's behind a paywall, so I would get in trouble and that would undo all of their lovely hard work. So if you want the full article, check out Cycling News. What I can do is go over some of the stats that Elves have put on their Instagram, which is the EXP consistently placed mid-table with a rider on the bike For a 40k TT, the EXP was just 17 seconds off the Colnago Y1 RS and beat the Merida Reacto by 6 seconds.
The problem here though is that we're all different sizes and shapes when we sit on a bike. So I might be fast on a Trek, but slow on an Elves. And you might be slow on a Trek and fast on an Elves. You can test without a rider, and that's what they did. They even used the same wheels and tyres, but then they didn't use the same bar tape, saddles, or group sets. Are you starting to see now how aero testing is just a massive can of worms?
But at least what I take from this is that it's in the same realms as some of the other high-end bikes, which pretty much all cost a lot more too. And that is all I can say. Full testing data behind the paywall. Sizing. Welcome to the bit of the video where I moan about bikes not going small enough, therefore not catering for the majority of women at or under average height globally. Although, having said that, typical of Asian bike manufacturers, they do make quite small bikes. They don't go down small enough. Look at Pinarello. If Pinarello can do it, they make a bike with 350mm reach and it's a racing bike. It's totally possible. Please make smaller bikes. If it's useful, I'm about 5'9" and this is the 52. There's also quite a few different bar options as well, in different widths, which is more than we see from some bike manufacturers. Good to see there's options here. And the shape of the bars is brilliant. It's pretty short and shallow, and the bar is very narrow in the bend of the drops, which I like the feel of. Of course, some of this will be personal preference.
So who is this for? It's a long, low aero bike, made for racing. That means it's going to suit people who want to go fast, and it's going to help if you're flexible and strong, because the handlebars are going to be quite far away from you. That doesn't mean you can't ride it if you're not flexible and strong, but you might not be the most comfortable. The price will be enticing for bike racers, because if you race bikes, then, well, crashing is an inevitability. And if you break your bike, it's going to be easier replacing something that's 888 quid than 5,000. If you're a young bike racer and you've just discovered that racing twice a week costs loads of money, and you haven't factored in travel, hotels, food, tyres, petrol, race entries, then you might want to consider something like this, which is fast, but is going to be easier to replace when you inevitably crash.
Livability. I've had this bike for a few months now, and what's it been like to live with? Well, it is a full integrated carbon racing bike, so some of it has been annoying. On the plus side, the seat post clamp is external, so nothing falls inside the frame when you're adjusting your saddle. I have had no problems with seat post slippage, like some other people may have had on the internet. My headset's come loose a couple of times, but that was 100% my fault. The bottom bracket is T47, which some people will say has no place on a racing bike because it's a bit heavier. From my perspective, I like to be able to tinker with my bike, and if I can change my bottom bracket myself in my garage with less tools, even though I do have the tools, but a lot of people won't have the tools, and it's just a big spanner in the shape of the BB, then that is a good thing. Although it is one of those massive oversized BB shells, so it's only a sliver on show, so you got to be careful that the tool does not slip off. Wheels and tyres have been difficult. The GP5000s on here have been extremely hard to get on and off when I had my one puncher, which I have now just cursed. The skin on my palms has just about recovered. Other tyre brands are available. Maybe if you're buying these wheels, you'd want to try something else. The biggest issue though, it's all over the place in the wind.
It's a windy day. This bike is all over the place in the wind. You're just fighting it, and little gusts really catch you by surprise, and well, it really is a bit unpleasant sometimes. I've definitely ridden aero bikes that are nowhere near as extreme as this in the wind. It does feel fast though when you're not being blown sideways.
I've also had some issues with the free hub on these wheels. Oh, there's hair in it. Twice while I was out riding, I've gone to put power down and then my pedals have slipped, which has thankfully not led to anything bad happening, just a massive shock, but it can cause you to crash.
This free hub is ratcheted and has a little spring that has to push out to make sure it engages. If there's too much grease, which is exactly what happened, inside the hub, and sometimes this does happen out of the factory, unfortunately. I've had this on a wheel set before. The grease needs to be smoothed out and that spring needs to be loose enough to push out so it engages and there isn't like a gap in between you trying to pedal and then it engaging. Weirdly enough, this has happened to me before, but with a completely different free hub design, which has pawls, but again, it's usually too much grease, so it needed to be cleaned out and the right grease applied. It's a small issue, but if I didn't know how to fix this, then I would have had to take it to a bike shop, and considering these are brand new wheels, it's disappointing.
Market comparison. If you're interested in this bike, you might also want to check out Windspace, another Chinese bike manufacturer who also used to make bikes for other people and now have started making them under their own brand. They've been reviewed extremely well online in other places. We haven't had a chance to test one, but I would love to. Their comparable aero bikes are the T1600 and the T1550. Catchy names. And if you particularly want a Western bike, then something closer to this price range would be Canyon. They cut out the middleman, chop out the bike shops, and sell direct to consumer, so their prices tend to be a little bit less than the big brands. So what is the conclusion here? Overall, I've been really impressed with this bike. I was really not sure what to expect, and it surprised me on so many levels, especially when you factor in the price. But there are some negatives, for me at least. How the bike looks is not to my taste. I would get this one instead. It catches the wind a lot, so I would get this one instead. And it's a little bit heavy, so I would get this one instead. So to conclude, I would get this one instead. It's just a shame it doesn't have a T47 BB.
To finish this, we need to do the cool wall, so it's a pretty good bike. Over to Jimmy to do the honours.
To be fair to the bike, it is sitting next to the Canyon Aeroad, which we know is a decent bike and a decent amount more money as well. Not bad, Elves, well done.